It was a serene afternoon in the affluent town of Montecito, California. The golden hour bathed everything in a warm glow, casting long shadows and softening the edges of reality. Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, found herself enjoying one of those rare moments of tranquility, away from the relentless glare of the media. She strolled along a scenic path near her estate, pushing a stroller with her two children, Archie and Lilibet. Her heart swelled with joy as she savoring this simple yet precious time with her family. Meghan wore casual jeans that hugged her athletic frame and a loose blouse in a soft cream color, which complemented her caramel skin tone. Her hair, a natural wavy texture, was tied into a relaxed bun at the nape of her neck, framing her elegant features. The sun cast golden hues over the landscape, and for once, there were no paparazzi or scandalous headlines to disturb her peace. The air was filled with the sound of birds chirping and leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. Archie giggled as he kicked his tiny feet, while Lilibet dozed peacefully beside him. Meghan's steps were light, her movements harmonious with the rhythm of nature around her. This peaceful interlude seemed like a much-needed respite from the chaos that often surrounded her life. As she turned onto a quieter street, little did she know that this tranquil moment was about to be shattered. As Meghan rounded the corner, her peaceful stroll was abruptly disrupted by the slow approach of a black and white police SUV. The vehicle's presence shattered the serene atmosphere, its engine humming like an ominous warning in the otherwise tranquil afternoon. Her initial calm gave way to an unsettling knot in her stomach, a familiar sensation born from years of facing discrimination and media scrutiny. The SUV came to a halt, and two officers stepped out. One was older, his face unreadable, his stance rigid, exuding authority. His uniform was immaculate, with sharp creases running down his pants and jacket. The other officer appeared younger, his eyes flickering with uncertainty, his posture slightly less formal but no less alert. Their boots crunched against the pavement as they approached her, each step echoing through the quiet street. Meghan instinctively tightened her grip on the stroller, her protective instincts kicking into high gear. She felt the weight of the situation pressing down on her shoulders, the tension coiling tighter with every passing second. Then came the question that would forever alter the course of this afternoon. "Ma'am, is everything all right? Are these your children?" The words hit Meghan like a sharp blade, cutting through her peace with a chilling assumption. She had encountered similar queries before, whispered doubts in stores, at events, even in gossip columns, but hearing it from law enforcement struck a new chord of indignation. It wasn't just about her. It was about the countless others who faced such assumptions daily, their identities questioned simply because of how they looked. Her mind raced, processing the implications of the moment. The golden hour light seemed to dim for a brief instant, as if nature itself paused to witness what was unfolding. The world around her became hazy, the chirping birds fading into the background, replaced by the deafening silence of disbelief. This wasn't just about Harriet, it was about systemic bias, centuries-old prejudices manifesting in this single interaction. Meghan squared her shoulders, maintaining composure despite the rising tide of anger within her. Her voice was steady but firm as she responded to the officer's question. "Yes, they are. Is there a problem?" The older officer hesitated, glancing between Meghan and the children. His explanation revealed the root of their intrusion, a call about unusual activity, involving a woman matching her description, walking with two children who didn't seem to resemble her. The words hung in the air like a heavy cloud, echoing centuries of biases against mixed-race families. It wasn't just about Meghan. It was about every black or brown parent who had ever been doubted because of how their children looked. Her mind raced back to moments when similar assumptions had been made in stores, at events, even in whispers from strangers. Each one stung, a silent accusation that cut deep. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to remain composed. She knew her rights, yes, but she also understood the narrative that could unfold if she chose to escalate the situation. The thought of Harry's warnings crossed her mind, his fear that something like this might happen someday. And now, here it was, unfolding right before her eyes. She glanced down at Archie, whose tiny hand tugged lightly at hers. He watched her with wide, curious eyes, unaware of the weight of the moment. Lilibet remained asleep in the stroller, blissfully ignorant of the tension building around them. For their sake, Meghan resolved not to give the media or anyone else the ammunition they craved. Not today. Not ever. With deliberate, measured movements, Meghan reached into her bag, her fingers brushing against the smooth leather interior before finding her wallet. She pulled it out, a sleek black design that matched her understated yet elegant style, and opened it carefully. Her driver's license rested inside, a small piece of plastic carrying immense significance in this moment. Handing it over to the older officer, she watched as his eyes scanned the details, his expression shifting from rigid authority to one of growing recognition. The older officer studied the ID intently, his brow furrowing slightly as he compared the photo on the card with the woman standing before him. Then, like a sudden realization dawning, his demeanor changed entirely. Panic flickered across his face, replacing the earlier confidence. He looked up at Meghan, now seeing not just a woman questioned on the street, but the Duchess of Sussex, a global icon known for her advocacy against racial bias and social injustice. The younger officer leaned in, his posture stiffening as he processed the identity of the woman before him. His mouth opened slightly, as though searching for words that wouldn't come. "You're," he began, his voice trailing off mid-sentence as he struggled to articulate what they both already knew. Meghan folded her arms across her chest, her stance unwavering despite the internal storm brewing within her. "Yes, I am," she confirmed, her tone carrying the weight of countless battles fought against prejudice. The silence that followed was heavy, laden with the officer's understanding of their grave error. They had racially profiled a prominent figure, someone who had dedicated her life to combating such injustices. The younger officer stammered an apology, acknowledging the inconvenience caused. His voice trembled slightly, betraying his discomfort. "Ma'am, we apologize for the inconvenience. We didn't realize." Meghan's gaze turned steely, her patience wearing thin. "You didn't realize what?" she asked, her voice quiet but potent, each word dripping with restrained emotion. "That a black woman walking with her own children isn't a crime? That my skin color doesn't make me a suspect?" Her question hung in the air, piercing through the tense atmosphere like a blade. It wasn't just about her. It was about every mother who had ever been doubted, every black woman who had been questioned, every child who had witnessed their parent treated as less than human. For a brief moment, the golden hour light seemed to dim, replaced by the cold reality of systemic bias. The exchange left both officers visibly shaken, their earlier authority replaced by unease. The older officer attempted to justify the stop as a misunderstanding, a term that Meghan found all too familiar. Her entire life had been riddled with such misunderstandings, people questioning her intentions, her identity, her place in the world. Archie's small hand tugging at hers brought her back to the present moment. His innocent voice cut through the tension, asking softly, "Mommy?" Meghan knelt beside him, cupping his tiny face gently. "It's okay, baby," she murmured, though inside, she knew the truth was far more complex. She refused to let this moment scar her children, but the weight of it pressed heavily on her heart nonetheless. Standing up again, Meghan faced the officers with renewed resolve. Her stance was firm, her voice steady, yet tinged with emotion. "You should go," she stated firmly, ending the conversation. There was no room for negotiation, no need for further discussion. The message was clear. This interaction was over. As they retreated to their vehicle and drove away, Meghan watched them, her heart pounding with a mix of emotions, anger, frustration, but most importantly, determination. This incident wasn't just about her. It symbolized every mother who had ever been doubted, every black woman who had been questioned, every child who had witnessed their parent treated as a suspect. It was a reminder of the work still needed to dismantle systemic biases and create a fairer world. For a brief moment, the golden hour light seemed to soften, wrapping her in its warmth as if offering comfort. But Meghan knew better than to rely on fleeting moments of peace. The fight ahead would be long and hard, but she was ready. Back home, Meghan couldn't shake off the encounter. The weight of the incident lingered in her thoughts, stirring memories of past experiences where her identity had been questioned, where her belonging had been challenged. She sat down heavily on a plush armchair in her living room, the golden hour light streaming through large windows and casting soft shadows around the space. Her children played quietly nearby, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing inside their mother's mind. Meghan reflected on the broader implications of what had happened. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a larger pattern of systemic racism and bias that permeated society. The racial profiling she experienced wasn't unique to her. Countless others faced similar situations daily, often without the platform or resources to speak out. For many, these moments defined their lives, shaping how they navigated the world and interacted with authority figures. Her heart ached for those who didn't have the privilege of being recognized as someone important enough to warrant apologies or media attention. How many mothers, just like her, had been stopped, questioned, and doubted simply because of the color of their skin. How many black women had been forced to prove their worth, their parenthood, their humanity, over and over again? She realized that staying silent was not an option. Every fiber of her being urged her to use her voice, her influence, to bring attention to these injustices. Social media had both vilified and empowered her throughout her public life, but now it offered an opportunity to amplify voices that deserved to be heard. It was time to turn that power toward creating awareness and driving real change. With her children still playing nearby, Meghan opened her phone, scrolling through familiar apps with determination. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, ready to craft a message that would resonate beyond her immediate circle. She knew the words needed to be carefully chosen, powerful enough to spark conversation, yet measured enough to avoid unnecessary backlash. This was about more than herself. It was about every person who had ever felt unseen, unheard, or unworthy. Opening Twitter, Meghan typed with purpose, each word chosen carefully to convey the gravity of the situation without inciting unnecessary backlash. Walking while black, parenting while black, existing while black. It's 2025, and this is still happening. Number do better, she wrote, encapsulating the essence of her experience and the collective struggle against racial bias. Hitting send, she watched as the tweet immediately gained traction, trending worldwide within minutes. The reaction was swift and overwhelming. Supporters from across the globe shared their own stories of racial profiling, uniting under the hashtag number do better. Critics emerged too, questioning the validity of her claims and accusing her of exploiting the situation for attention. Yet, Meghan remained steadfast, knowing that the dialogue she initiated was crucial. She engaged with some comments, further explaining her perspective and encouraging open conversations about race and bias. This digital activism marked a pivotal moment in her journey, transforming a personal setback into a catalyst for change. Her decision to speak out was met with both admiration and criticism, but it reinforced her commitment to using her platform for meaningful impact. The ripple effect of her tweet extended far beyond her immediate audience, sparking discussions in households, workplaces, and communities worldwide. Meghan realized that her voice carried weight not just because of who she was, but because of the truth she dared to share. As she scrolled through replies, reading messages of solidarity and outrage, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. This wasn't just about her. It was about every person who had ever been made to feel less than human because of the color of their skin. It was about creating a world where such encounters became relics of the past. Determined to amplify the voices of those affected by racial bias, Meghan embarked on a series of initiatives aimed at fostering dialogue and promoting equality. She collaborated with organizations dedicated to fighting racial injustice, hosting virtual panels where individuals could share their experiences and advocate for change. These platforms provided a safe space for honest conversations, allowing people from diverse backgrounds to connect and find common ground. In addition to online activism, Meghan utilized her position to influence policy changes. She met with lawmakers and community leaders, advocating for reforms in policing practices and education systems that address systemic racism. Her efforts were recognized by many, earning her accolades for her dedication to social justice. Despite the challenges and occasional setbacks, Meghan remained undeterred, driven by the belief that change was possible when people worked together toward a common goal. Through these actions, Meghan transformed her personal experience into a powerful movement, inspiring others to join her in the fight against racial bias. Her story became a testament to the resilience and strength found in standing up for what is right, even in the face of adversity. With each step forward, she reminded herself and everyone else that progress required persistence, empathy, and courage. As months passed, Meghan's initiatives began to bear fruit. Communities started implementing programs inspired by her advocacy, focusing on education and awareness around racial issues. Schools incorporated lessons on diversity and inclusion, while local governments enacted policies designed to combat racial profiling. Her influence stretched beyond borders, reaching international audiences eager to learn from her experiences and adopt similar strategies in their own countries. She continued to engage with her followers, sharing updates on her projects and celebrating milestones achieved through collective effort. Her presence at global forums discussing human rights and equality further cemented her role as a leading figure in the fight against racial bias. Each event she attended, each speech she delivered, served to reinforce her commitment to creating a more equitable world. Meghan's legacy was taking shape, built on the foundation of her courage to confront injustice head-on. Her journey from a victim of racial profiling to a beacon of hope for countless others illustrated the transformative power of speaking out. By leveraging her celebrity status, she successfully bridged gaps between different communities, fostering understanding and unity. Her efforts were recognized globally, earning her accolades for her unwavering dedication to social justice. Yet, despite the progress, Meghan remained humble. She knew that true change required persistence, empathy, and collaboration. Every step forward reminded her of those who had paved the way before her and those who would carry the torch after her. This wasn't just about hair, it was about building a better future for everyone. Looking ahead, Meghan envisioned a future where incidents like the one in Montecito were relics of the past, where every individual felt safe and respected regardless of their race or background. Her ultimate goal was to dismantle the structures of bias that perpetuated inequality, replacing them with systems rooted in empathy and justice. To achieve this vision, she pledged to continue her work tirelessly, collaborating with allies across the globe and inspiring new generations to carry the torch forward. Meghan's story serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of standing up against injustice and the profound impact one person can have when they choose to act. Through her resilience and determination, she has not only changed her own trajectory, but has also ignited a movement toward a more inclusive and equitable society. As she moves forward, her focus remains clear: to ensure that every person, regardless of their circumstances, can walk freely without fear of judgment or suspicion based solely on the color of their skin. She knew that true change required persistence, empathy, and collaboration. Every step forward reminded her of those who had paved the way before her and those who would carry the torch after her. This wasn't just about Herod, it was about building a better future for everyone. With each milestone achieved, Meghan reaffirmed her commitment to creating a world where such encounters became nothing more than distant memories. And that's where our story ends. What did you think of this story? Share your emotions in the comments below. We'd love to know what you remember most. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more unforgettable stories. And if you are in the mood for another exciting story, check out our next video. It's waiting for you. Until then, stay curious, get inspired, and keep exploring the stories that make life extraordinary. See you in the next one.